is an insufferable character. And like she broke her leg, like you're not going on a walk. Like ginormous stack of my TBR. I have until then to fix my leg. It's been a struggle. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and this is the Astral Library, and I'm coming back at you with a reading vlog. It's specifically for Magical Readathon. This is kind of my mid-month check-in to see how I've been doing, if I've been making my way through this ginormous stack of a TBR. Like I can't even fit it all in frame because it's so big. I am terrified of this stack of books. It's horrifying because there's some really beefy ones on here, and one that I've not made progress on at all, even though I have to have it done by the end of the month. That's where I'm at. So we're gonna have to see in this vlog if I actually make any sort of progress. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm recording this at the end of this vlog. In fact, the day that this goes up is the day I'm recording this. And that's because I don't have a proper intro for you guys. I want to say hi, greet you, make you feel welcomed in this video, and just to kind of warn you that in this vlog, things progressively just get worse. Not necessarily in terms of reading, just in terms of life giving me so many lemons. But you'll just have to see what I mean by that in this video. So grab a drink, grab a snack. This is a bit of a long one, so I hope you get all cozy and enjoy it. California is finally getting some fallish weather, so that's been great. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. Otherwise, I will see you at the end of the video for our last minute check-in. See you then! Have you ever just had moments where you don't want to read, and just like the thought of reading just makes you not want to do it because maybe you got behind, or maybe you were sick and you feel like you're in a slump even though there's so many things you want to read? That's kind of where I found myself after being sick for 2 weeks, where I wasn't reading anything at all. I wasn't reading fan fiction, I wasn't reading webtoons. I just went into like a complete shutdown because mostly I couldn't sleep, and so like my brain just like had a hard time doing anything, especially focusing. I think the most I ended up doing was in the last couple of days where I was like really sick and like stuck in bed, I was watching a Chinese drama. But even then my brain could only focus for so long, and I just went into a total shutdown. And coming out of that, it's been harder because like I feel like I'm still in that mode of like a reset where my mind hasn't fully rebooted so it can function and focus on these words on a page, and I just don't feel myself drawn to books. And I think it's also because there's just been so many other things going on. Like the end of August was the literal devil. I'm talking so bad because not only did I get sick, my dog somehow mysteriously broke her goddamn leg at 4 in the morning, and me and my roommate were freaking out, didn't know how she did it, had no idea what to do. We had to go to the vet when they opened. She's fine. She's actually currently behind me in a cage because that's the life she has to live right now, just to be in a cage for like 12 weeks. So, you know, 3 months of a husky not being allowed out of a cage, or like not allowed out of a cage very often, and only for like increasingly short time. So that's been stressful. And so all of that's added to, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to think about anything. I just want to somehow exist. I also find myself missing reading, like a lot. I miss reading books and stories and getting to talk to you guys. I'm like out of the swing of making videos, which is not fun. And I want to fix that in this vlog. So this is the very first Magical Readathon vlog. It's currently September 5th, like 1:45. I'm actually starting this later than I wanted to. I had plans to start like noon, but as I was doing my nails, when I went to go put the top coat on, it smeared it and I had to redo all my nails, and I was frustrated. So they're done now. They look all right. I'm not gonna mess with them anymore because I literally can't be bothered. But I want to take this time to kind of like share that even though I'm like a voracious reader and someone who like career kind of deals with books, I have times where I don't want to read and I find it a struggle to read. It's okay. It's totally okay to not want to read sometimes, and like to have a booktube channel and not want to read, because it sometimes those moods hit and I just don't want to pick up a book. But it's Magical Readathon, which is my favorite readathon of the year. So I'm gonna pick up some books. And so we're gonna actually start this vlog with the very first book, which is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, because this is kind of the one I want to start with. It just seems really fun. It's kind of short. It's got big text, which I'm happy about. I think I need something just really easy and really easy to digest. So I'm hoping that that's what this book is, because I just need to get back into the swing of things and hopefully enjoy it. Because like I said, my brain's still not fully reset, but it's getting there. And hopefully this book will bring us one step closer. So we're gonna go ahead and dive straight into this one. And I'll come back at you when I have some thoughts of what's going on. Oh, actually, before I go, as per tradition, let's give an update on the bathroom, because there's been updates on that one too. And those are a little more positive than, you know, my dog breaking her leg. But like I said, she's fine. She's just sleeping because she has to be on a leash. So I want to take her out to go to the bathroom. She thinks she's going on a walk and like she broke her leg. Like, you're not going on a walk. Like, I don't know what kind of crazy universe you live in, but not the one, especially after all the money I had to pay to get her leg fixed. Okay, but the bathroom, major updates, major updates. In fact, there's a light now so you can see him. Okay, I'm gonna flip you around. Look at her. There's a toilet, there's a sink, the tile's all done. We got the mirror up and the lights and this gorgeous cabinet. We got the backing all in and the light. She's looking pretty. She's looking so pretty. The shower's still not done. The shower's not done because the absolute nightmare it was to get this toilet installed was not fun, to say the least. You know, old toilet flanges, not a great time. Had to like drill it out and all these things. My dad and I were like done with DIY for a bit, and it didn't help that we both got COVID. And so that was just like the start of everything that went wrong at the end of August. So we will have to see when we're actually gonna go get into tile the shower, or if we're gonna try to hire someone. We don't know. I think we're both gonna take at least another week or two off from doing this, which is fine because I still have the other bathroom in the house where I could shower, so it's not a big deal. I'm just happy. So a little TMI, a little gross, but when you renovate shit in an old house, you know, bugs and critters come out because that's just how it has to be. And bathrooms in particular, I don't know what it is, because this also happened when my dad renovated the bathroom at their house. Cockroaches galore, and I hate cockroaches. And I've been fighting for my life from so many cockroaches in this house since we started this reno. You can see how tired I am of it because I've taped every orifice up so I don't have to deal with cockroaches and hopefully kill them and not any more escapes into my house because I can't handle it anymore. And it's not because I have a dirty house, because I never had a cockroach problem, and I've cleaned my house weekly. It's been awful. It's been so bad, but hopefully it's done. I bombed my house too, so all the things. It's been a rough fucking time, okay? So reading has been not on my radar. It's not been a priority of mine. That's just okay sometimes, especially because my voice still sounds like this. So we'll see when you'll get normal voice Emily back. Hopefully soon, because I'm sick of sick Emily voice. I'm gonna go read. I'll catch you and have another update. Hello, it is sometime later. It's now 4:20. I did get some reading done, not a ton. I had a hard time focusing on this book, not just because like this book is hard. It's really not. The narration style in this is it's very pointed. It's very easy. We have like a narrator who's like constantly talking to the reader, and that could be fun. I'm barely in. I'm on the 4th chapter, which means I'm on page 35. So I haven't gotten in very far. I've learned a little bit more about the plot. I was correct in what I initially said, in that we're following a girl who like makes a YouTube video, becomes famous, and like her life's changing. I'm literally at that point where her life is about to become more complicated because of this. What I was wrong about was that she was not a content creator. This is actually the first video she makes. The second thing I was wrong about, it wasn't monoliths, it was more like statues. It's kind of like if you remember a few years ago where we had all those like pillars that appeared all around the United States for seemingly for no reason. Essentially, it's a situation like that where we have these, she calls them like a transformer dressed in like samurai gear. So kind of like some sort of like really big hulking metal statue that she dubs Carl. And there's like 60 Carls throughout the world and no one knows how they appeared. A weird thing is they all appeared at the same time. All the cameras were wiped out, so there's no footage of anyone like building these things. But in the audio of like the recording, there's like a low frequency of freaking Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, which is weird and kind of an odd choice, I think. Just because like where are we going with that? It's a very bizarre song to choose, I think. Especially because, and we just found this out, that the Wikipedia page for Don't Stop Me Now has like a spelling error in it. But every time you try to fix a spelling error, another spelling error pops up, which is obviously going to lead to like some sort of like anagram thing, all the missing letters spelling out a new message. But we're not focusing on that because apparently we gotta go do interviews and stuff. So interesting. It is very interesting. I don't know if it's I wouldn't even say this is a slow book. I think it's just taking me a second to get into this book. And I think that's purely just my own hangups from, you know, being sick and still not quite back. And also California's in a heat wave and it's so hot. It's so freaking hot in this house. That's not helping. And when I had the AC on, I had to have a blanket on me because I was cold because I'm like directly under the vent. So many things going wrong, but I did start reading. And you know what? That is all I want. I think I'm gonna try to read a little bit more tonight. I think I'm gonna try to get to page 50 and kind of like keep going with that momentum and we'll see how far I get. But I have a giant TBR for this month and I'm low-key scared of it. There's just a lot of books and some like really long books and I'm afraid I'm not gonna finish. So we'll have to see. I think I'm done reading for now. I'll catch you in an update tomorrow. Hello! I'm coming at you with another update in that I finished An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. And I have to say, this book was definitely a sleeper because when I first started it, I thought I was going to hate it. And that's because its main character, April May, is an insufferable character. She is so frustrating at times and the decisions she makes, and like the attitude she has is like so off-putting. Like she's a very interesting character and I think she really adds to the story and I think it adds to this perspective of like what fame can do to a person and how quickly you can lose yourself into it and how quickly it can change you. But at the core of April, we still see like some of the personality that we encounter from the very beginning of the book. She's such a well done, just like insufferable character. Because even though I was like not enjoying April as a person, I was still so invested in the story. And by the time I reached the end of this, I needed to know more. I was rooting for April, even though I like wanted her to be knocked down a couple pegs. And it was just kind of like disheartening to see her continuously fall into the pits of fame and kind of like how it changed her and affected all her relationships. Like that was really sad to see, but I was gripped. I started reading this late last night, and I had just paused like, oh, I'm just gonna read to another 50 pages. Just get to a good point and then stop. But then every chapter at that point like was good. And I was like, oh, what's gonna happen next? I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna read the next chapter. Oh, I'm just gonna read the next chapter. And then I finished the book. How this book ends? Oh, if I wasn't on a book buying ban, I would be buying the second book because I need the second book. I need to know what happens in this story because the ending of this book is insane. And I wanna know so much more. I wanna know what's going on. The mystery is not solved. And oh, it was so good. It was so good. I had a lot more fun with this book than I ever thought I was going to. I practically read this book all of yesterday because the first time I picked this up, I read 35 pages, which is not a lot. And I was like, this might have to be a DNF. Do I might have to spend some DNF points? No, I'm not. I'm going to buy the second book because I'm invested. I understand what everyone says about this book and why they say it's so good because it is so good. It's, disclaimer, this is not like John Green though. It's not the same kind of like atmospheric writing that I think John has, in that just the way he crafts his sentences are so beautiful and I think so like provocative. Hank's writing, at least in the story, is a lot more to the point and punchy, especially with April as a character and as our narrator. There's a lot of witty comments here and there. It's very straightforward, and even though there's thought-provoking lines in it, it's more or less a very like poignant and straightforward read. It's not gonna play around with anything. In fact, I think at times like April talked too much to us as the reader, which was kind of, I was like, I just want you to move on. But I liked it. I am very, like I said, Hank Green could tell a story, and I'm excited to see where this one goes. Because it is only a duology, so there's only the next book, which is Beautiful something. Hold on. I need to know now. I just literally put it on my Amazon list. A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. That's what it is. I'm excited. I want to order it. I'm gonna be good. Gonna be so good. I'm gonna save my ratings for the wrap up that's gonna happen at the end of Magical Readathon. So, but this is a high one. That's all I'm gonna say. So while I was reading that and while I was almost avoiding that, I ended up freaking myself out about the kind of ginormous stack of my TBR because I'm so worried I'm not gonna be able to finish it for how slow I've been reading. And I was like, okay, let's see if I can find an audiobook for something. And I was looking for certain things and I ended up finding and starting an audiobook for A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. So I am not very far in. So like equivalently, I've read about this much, which I'm on. The chapters here are weird because there's like 4.2. So I think I'm on part 4, chapter part 2, 4.2. I don't know. I'm just starting the story. And the audiobook's okay. It's not my favorite audiobook. I think the narrator's kind of dry because we just have this British narrator and he's so slow. Like I tuned him up at least to I think 1.25 or 1.5 and it sounds like normal speed. I was like, okay, this is what we have to go. It's about 11 hours, maybe like almost 12 hours of an audiobook and I'm 2 hours in. I still have a ways to go. I'll be listening to that like dispersed out throughout the week as I'm doing like dishes and taking showers and stuff just to kind of like knock it down little by little, which I think is the smart move to go, at least for one book, so I can do multiple books simultaneously and I don't like get behind because I feel myself getting behind, especially because like the fact that my throat is still not better, my voice is still gone. Stress. All things are stressful right now. I'm gonna continue this in the background. I might actually play some of this as I do my syllabus planning because I need to do that relatively soon. And I don't know if I want to do it today or tomorrow. Probably today because I have something going on in tomorrow evening. So this is what I'm continuing. To start physically, I think I'm going to try to knock out another short book this week and hopefully by the end of this vlog I'll have finished it, and that is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I don't want to include too much of like my thoughts on this book as I'm reading it because I am going to have a whole vlog dedicated to Silvia Moreno Garcia, but I'm going to be reading this and then I might periodically check in and it's like, yeah, I've got this far in and I'm enjoying it or I'm hating it. But I will definitely share my thoughts more on Darker Shade of Magic, which I've, again, only just really started. It's a multi-POV story, which I did not expect. But it's interesting so far because the couple characters we've met are all kind of like distinctive enough. But the audio format is kind of dragging this down. I'm wondering if I maybe read along, if I'll have a better time, but that kind of defeats the purpose of why I'm listening to this via audio. So we'll have to see, but that's all the updates I have. I think I'm going to read a little bit of this right now. It's gonna be a reading time because I just spent my morning taking Miss Dolores, who's kind of passed out in her crate. Took her to the vet this morning just to get her bandage changed. And then I played some video games because I was mentally tired, and that was something I could do mindlessly and not have to worry about reading. But it is reading time, so I'm gonna go do that. And I will catch you in the next update.
12 seconds later.
So remember how I said like the text in this was like super duper tiny? Well, I got about 5 pages in, and not only is the text tiny, I'm just bored. Like 5 pages is not like a great shot for a book, but I'm in such a precarious like position with my reading that I'm not interested at all. I don't like the main character so far. I think the writing's kind of dry, and I don't want to read it. It's 5 pages. I will come back to this book later, but with how my reading's been going, I know that if I try to like force myself to sit here and read this, I'm not gonna have a good time. So I'm actually gonna swap this book out because I don't want to jeopardize the rest of this TBR by forcing myself to read a book that I'm not like in love with. So we're gonna take this one out, and we'll come back to that later. That vlog's not till November anyway, so I have until then to fix my mood. But the prompt specifically asked for vampires, and I was browsing through my shelves because I was a little worried that I was not gonna have another vampire book. But I have 2 that I have not actually read, and so I don't know which one I'm gonna choose. So the first option is Fury's Kiss by Karen Chance. This is the 3rd book in the Midnight Daughter series. I love Midnight Daughter, and I have not read this one fully. In fact, I got to chapter 5 apparently last time I picked this one up when I was doing a read through, and I know I have a lot of fun with these books because it's like a paranormal romance. The main character's a badass, and she's actually a Dampfire, which is a half vampire, but there's other vampires involved, so it will still fulfill the prompt. What's holding me back from this one is like it's pretty chunky. This is like a 536 page book. It's a mass market paperback, which means it's tightly packed. It probably as small text as Certain Dark Things, actually. But I know these books read a lot faster because it's paranormal romance. I tend to just like fly through these books. So this is an option. The other option I have is something a little more condensed, a little more doable, and that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I think this is the Fairylit edition. It's one with like the pretty edges and the special cover. I think this is Fairylit. I don't actually remember, but I've had this for a while, and I've heard mixed things about this. I've heard some people really like it. I heard some people don't, but what appeals to me is that this is short. This book is not even 300 pages. It is 292. It's almost 300 pages. So it's shorter, but what's nice is that the text is decent size. Like I can read this very quickly, and it sounds very interesting. I'm a little worried that because this is more a historical setting, I might drag through it a little more because I'm just not the biggest historical person. I don't know which one to read yet. I might give both books a chance. I might read like the first chapter of both and see where I like feel myself going towards. I'll probably start with A Dowry of Blood to see if it's interesting enough for me, if I like the world and it doesn't feel too historical. And then if not, I'll just do Fury's Kiss. I know I'll enjoy this because I really, really enjoyed Midnight's Daughter. So I'm gonna be switching to one of those 2 books. But while I was doing that, I got a package that came, and it's book mail. So I'm gonna open this because why not? I'm gonna try not to show you guys my address while I'm at it home. But I know exactly what this book is. It's a new release that just came out today, which is September 10th. And it's a book I've been super excited about. And that is, of course, Somewhere Beyond the Sea by DJ Clune, which is the sequel to House of the Cerulean Sea, which I loved so much, and so I'm excited. I love this yellow. Look at the sprayed edge. It's so cute. And the cover, like look at that cover. TJ Clune's just like been killing it with his releases. And so I'm very, very excited for this. I'm not gonna get to this in this vlog. Like not even remotely. Ooh, we get a little pretty shell on it. But I'm excited. I really want to get to this, especially because I don't know exactly what this book is about. I know it's a continuation of that series, but I don't know if it's like a prequel, if it's continuing like a sequel to that. You know, let's find out together. We can read the summary together. Arthur Panos lives a good life, built on the ashes of a bad one. He's a headmaster of a strange orphanage on a distant and peculiar island, and he hopes to soon be the adoptive father to 6 magical and so-called dangerous children who live there. Arthur works hard and loves with his whole heart, so none of the children ever feel neglect and pain that he once felt as an orphan on that very same island so long ago. And he is not alone. Joining him is the love of his life, Linus Baker, a former caseworker in the department in charge of magical youth, Zoe Chapel-White, the island spirit, and her girlfriend, Mayor Helen Webb. Together they will do anything to protect the children. But when Arthur is summoned to make a public statement about his dark past, he finds himself at the helm for a fight for the future that his family and all magical people deserve. And when a new magical child hopes to join them on their island home, one who finds power in calling himself Monster, a name Arthur works so hard to protect his children from, Arthur knows that they're at a breaking point. Their family will either grow stronger than ever or fall apart. Okay, so this is a sequel, so it is continuing where we left off in House of Cerulean Sea, but we are actually following Arthur's perspective, which is really nice because Arthur was a character I wish we got to learn more about in House of Cerulean Sea. So it'll be nice to see his thoughts and to learn about this deep dark secret past. Just like, hello, give me backstory, yes. I'm excited. I cannot wait to read this one. I will not be picking this up this month. That's for sure though, because I'm already looking at my TBR and it's too big. But I want to get to this one very, very soon because I know it's gonna make me cry. And I think I need that. I think I need that like emotional release. Maybe that will like be my kick to get to the rest of the TJ Klune books around my TBR, which include the last 2 books of the Wolf Creek series and Under the Whispering Door. Those are the ones I own. So okay, for realsies, I'm gonna go try out the chapter of A Dowry of Blood to see if I'm enjoying it, see if that's the vibe I want, or if I'm gonna be reading a 500-page book. We'll see. I'll catch you up when I've made a decision. The amount of things that have gone wrong since I last updated you are insane. Like, just my bad luck streak continues. So I don't even remember when I last left you off, but it is now 8:45 on Friday the 13th, and I have not finished a book. I did end up choosing a different vampire book. I think I left you off where I was saying I wasn't gonna read certain dark things because I just like wasn't feeling it. I did end up actually deciding to go with A Dowry of Blood because I read the first few sections of this and was blown away. This thing, it's so good. You can see I've lost it because the stuff track is not even on. I am almost done with it. I'm almost done. I have maybe 100 or so pages left. Maybe 120. I don't know if I'm going to read it tonight just because I'm wiped. I am thoroughly enjoying this. Also, I just want to say, everyone who talks about A Dowry of Blood just says, oh, it is a Dracula retelling, but what if it's told through the perspective of the wife and the wife was gay? That's true. That is all very true of like what this book is. But Dracula's wife being gay is like the least interesting thing about this book, because it's an introspection on an abusive relationship and it's a realization of that abuse. And what does she do? She's trapped in this literally eternal marriage and stuck perpetuating the cycle. What I really like about this is it's still in the epistolary form, which is a nice callback to the original Dracula book, because that's also epistolary. But what I really enjoy is that it's told from a Constanta who has escaped this abusive relationship and is writing essentially letters to Dracula. And so I love that voice that's being present even when we're in the moments of the past, and just like these sparks of realization, like, oh, I loved you for this, but now I realize it was beautiful torture. And S.T. Gibson's writing, oh my god, I am loving every second of this, which I was really worried I wasn't, because I'm not a historical girly, and this like has historical vibes, but I love it. I am eating it up. Every time I read this, I'm just like page after page. I just want more and more. I want to get lost in the prose of it. I'm glad I picked this up, because I honestly, this is a book I think was going to be on my TBR for a very, very long time if it wasn't for this prompt, but I'm enjoying it immensely. And then at the same time, I'm still continuing my audiobook for Darker Shade of Magic. I am 9 hours, almost 10 hours in, so I'm almost done with this. I can't tell you a lot about this book because it's kind of boring. It wasn't until like the 47 to 50% mark that I feel like this book actually started like taking off and like things started happening, because half the time it was just boring. Like I felt like nothing happened. I felt like we were just kind of this stuck. Okay, here's the world, here's these characters, here's their shitty situations or like their general situations, and then, oh, here we go, here's a plot, here's something to kind of catch on, here's a villain and an antagonist, and here's our two perspectives kind of colliding and getting together and all this stuff. So it feels like the last half of this book, or even really the last like quarter, is where all the action is, and I'm not loving that. And on top of that, I think listening to this as an audiobook has been one of the worst mistakes, because the narrator is just so dry, boring, and it makes me tune out, and I have to like refocus myself back in to like get anything. It has not been fun. I have not been wanting to turn it on, but I have been making sure to turn it on so I can get through this book. It's been a struggle, but I'm almost done. I can check this one off, and I don't know if I will continue on with that series. I think I might give it a try to read, because like maybe after everything's been established in this first book, I can continue on the second book and things will happen. Who knows? Anyways, I am basically out of battery, so that's gonna be my update for now. I'm gonna try to update 1 or 2 more times before the weekend's up, and then we'll wrap this vlog up, hopefully with me having finished A Dowry of Blood. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys later, and hopefully my bad luck is done. Maybe I'll explain that in the next update, but for now, I'm going to bed because your girl's tired. Bye! Hello! Welcome to the end of the vlog, and ooh, we made it! We made it! I think I last left you off in that I had not finished Dowry of Blood or Darker Shade of Magic, and I am so happy to say that by the end of this vlog, we have finished 3 books. Or technically we've actually finished 4 books. One I didn't really talk about in this vlog. I think I just kind of like put my head down and read it. I finished Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, and A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. And then the secret book that I finished that I didn't talk about was Rogue Protocol. I did in fact read this. This is kind of on like bonus TBR, like I have them from the library, and in fact this is due in 2 days, and I can't renew it because someone has this on hold. So we're gonna turn that in today or tomorrow, and then I'll read the other one. I was able to renew the second one, so that's good. But yeah, I finished 4 books in this vlog. Technically 3, because we didn't really talk about Rogue Protocol, but Rogue Protocol, not my favorite of the series, but still pretty fun. So we'll set that aside. We'll talk about this more in the wrap up. So we've already shared my thoughts on An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Love this one. This was a great read. I'm still so sad I'm on a book buying ban because I want to buy this sequel so bad. The ending, if you know, you know, it's so good. But let's talk about the endings to A Darker Shade of Magic and A Dowry of Blood. We're gonna start with The Darker Shade of Magic because I did not really enjoy this book. I'm not sure if it's because of the medium in which, because like I said, I didn't like the narrator for the audiobook. I think it was really dry. But in addition to that, this book just felt oddly paced or like oddly structured in that the first half of this book is entirely just setup and background. I feel like there's nothing of substance really happens until the 50% mark, which is not how I like my fantasy. fantasies. Like, I understand fantasy takes time to set up, especially when we're world building and all that, but the 50% mark is pushing it, like, a lot. And by the time I got to the end of this book, it felt like just such a roller coaster of things, just like bam, bam, bam happening, that it was hard to focus and just like care about anything, because it felt like we were just speed running through the rest of this book. And by the time we got to the end of this book, I'm just like, what the hell's the rest of the series about? Like, do I care about anything else that's gonna go on? And the answer I found is like, not really. So I was having a great time. I felt like the characters were fun at first, but then kind of felt very cliche and flat. I did like the relationship between Kel and Rye. I think that was a really interesting dynamic. I think Kel's whole family dynamic is a very interesting plot point. I think I would have liked that to be fleshed out a little bit more, and maybe it is in the following books. Everything else, it didn't feel like anything special. And again, I think I have to blame this on the audiobook, and that it probably wasn't the best way to take in this story. I might reread this one day physically, or I might look up a summary of what happened in this book again and read the next one, because I do own the sequel, which is Gathering of Shadows. Is that the second one? It is A Gathering of Shadows. Wow, look at me remembering that. So maybe I'll give it a try because I already own it, but I did not have a good time with this one. Even though I love E.E. Schwab, make it make sense. That was a darker shade of magic for me. Did not enjoy it. Again, we'll have to give star ratings at the end. So something to look forward to in the wrap up. But A Dowry of Blood? I thoroughly enjoyed this start to finish. I felt myself enraptured every time I picked this thing up. I loved the writing in it. I felt like it was the right amount of like historical, in that we got these glimpses of these places and like hints, but it wasn't focusing on the time. It's not about the setting. It's about the deep introspection of our main character, Constanta, and just like her reflection of this eon-long relationship with Dracula and his other companions. And it was just so fascinating. In fact, it actually reminded me a lot of In a Dream House, in that it's this very unique way of storytelling about an abusive relationship that is leaning into the fantastical, but also the deeply introspective and lyricalness of it. I feel like these books pair really well together. And even though one is obviously fictional and one is a true account of an abusive relationship, they gave me the same vibe. I would highly recommend this one. I think it's very good. I, again, go into it in the mindset that this is not just like a romance story. That often I feel like that's what this is marketed as, is like this romance, like sapphic romance. That's not the case here. Like, there is sapphic romance in there, and there is a bit of spice, nothing like too graphic. This is a book that is deeply introspective, and it is character driven, and it's a character focus. It is not a romance. In fact, the main romance in this is that abusive relationship between Constanta and Dracula. That is the relationship at heart. So everything else is tangential to that relationship. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with this book. They come in with certain expectations, like, oh, this is gonna be a Dracula telling. It's really not. This is gonna be a sapphic romance. It's really not. This is a different book entirely. I would say if you liked In a Dream House, you might really like this book, because they have that same vibe, that same introspection, and that's kind of very like attention focus on abusive relationship and these cycles that they create and how one can fall into it. Because it's so easy to say like, oh girl, like run, I would never allow myself to be in this, but like it's not always that bad, and it's like a slow boil. Really well done. And F.C. Gibson's writing this is so fucking lyrical, so vibey. This is a really good fall read too. It's just like very atmospheric, but it has like enough of a plot to keep you going that it's not all vibes, because I'm not like an all vibes book person. I need a plot, and reading about Constanta going through the notions of like realizing that she's in an abusive relationship to the point where she is going to kill Dracula is very, very good. The only thing I didn't quite love about this book is the last section of it. Like the ending section like jumps forward in time, but it's a different perspective. It is of Alexi's perspective, who is the husband of Dracula. I think it would have been fine if we also got Magdalla's point of view, but we only got Alexi's point of view, and it didn't quite make sense to me. I think I would have liked in that last section to dive into heads of each of Dracula's companions, because this whole book is Constanta's point of view, and then just to have Alexi at the end, who is the last companion Dracula takes. It didn't quite make sense to me why he is so important to get his own section, but Magdalla, who is here for a majority of the book, doesn't get her own section. I don't know. That was the only thing I felt was kind of like off about this. Otherwise, I still really, really enjoyed this. Like, I would highly recommend it. And I'm so glad I have the Pretty Fairly edition because I really, really enjoyed this book. In fact, as soon as I finished it, I texted my friend Sarah. I was like, Sarah, have you read this book? She would love this book. And she's picked it up. I will have to get her thoughts on if she's enjoying it, but I do highly recommend this. This is the perfect fall read. So these are all the books I read in this vlog. Again, it's the hidden special bonus vlog of Murderbot. But yeah, I would say I did pretty damn well for starting this vlog not wanting to read anything to finishing 4 books. I think it's pretty damn good. Now, I do have 3 books left, and they are the big ones. So we're gonna have to see if I am able to accomplish this in the next couple of weeks. And I will have to say I am terrified. At least I've already started A Stardust Thief. I'm not very far in, but hopefully I'm like to the point where I can fly through it because I did the build up. And these 2, this one will be easy. These are not very long books, and I know the plot, so it's easier to kind of breeze through them. But City of Brass, I'm hoping it's good, and I hope it caps me, because otherwise, ugh. So join me next time to see if I'm able to accomplish the rest of this TBR, or if I'm going to have to do an extension or something. But that is it for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I am feeling so much better than when I started this month, and I really appreciate you guys giving me the time to like have a slow introduction back to filming, because man, it's been rough. But that's it for me. I hope you guys liked this video. If you put it on while you were working, I hope you got a lot of work done. Or if you had it on in the background as you were doing some things, I hope all those things got done well. I'm going to start this remaining stack of books because your girl's running out of time. Magical Readathon's almost up and your girl's gotta finish those 2 chunky books. So I'm gonna go do that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!